Hey, you sexy bastard, it's been a while. But now that I'm back, let's talk about what it's like to climb in the League of Legends with a negative win rate. Before you choose to leave, know this isn't a rant. Sure, I play Azir, who has a 46% win rate above Diamond 2. He might be statistically the worst pick across the board, and most of the time, someone will take it upon themselves to type Smurf or Troll. Sometimes worse, but that's just kind of how this game is. Like, that's what the loudest members of this scene are like. You know, you're gonna find them everywhere. Their expectations can end up becoming a burden that drags you and the team down. Sometimes it's like they're the straw that breaks the camel's back. And it's sad because this happens countless times and to far too many people. It's made me want to quit the game before, and if you felt the same way, maybe consider letting this video play in the background while you do your thing. Riot does their best to balance matchmaking in clever ways that the average player would never consider. It's not perfect, but after being introduced to the Rift a decade ago, I can say it's changed, if not matured. That's made me wonder if people who've played for too long end up in a loop, like Ouroboros feeding on itself. Hard stuck and in our heads, everything else can look like an obstacle in our way, especially when random teammates aren't always giving it their all. That's what I really wanted to talk about today. Because you have to do what you can the best that you can, and some days you might even have to play way beyond your skill level if you want to take a step in the right direction, even if you're not there yet. Regardless of where you might be at the time, it gets difficult, and let me warn you, no one can prepare for everything. Still, I believe that you'll have what it takes when that moment comes, because what you have in your heart deep down in the place that words can't describe can't be taken away. Something like that can only be given. At least I think so. No matter how many of my friends would wish for me to let that voice ring out, or what those random teammates would type to me, sometimes they even go like out of their way to coach me on a champion they don't even play, while saying I should have done this or should have done that. Because for some reason, when you're playing in League of Legends, everybody has higher expectations for you than they do of themselves. And I think when it comes down to it, you just kind of have to bear that burden. You just got to deal with it and think, what can you do and keep on going. Because seriously, if you let something like that get to you, you're going to be in a dark spot, you know? So you just kind of got to keep doing what you can and maybe help them when you can, but at the same time, it's not up to you to save your teammates. You got to keep focusing on what you can do, you know? In my case, like, I'm responsible for my cat, I'm responsible for my lane. I take care of what I can, and if there's anything else that I add on top of that, it's a bonus to my team. And most of the time, I can put us in like a better spot. But the only problem is that not everybody can do that. And so what happens is people start asking for more because they see that you can do more. And so even if you want to, sometimes you got to remember to not give so much that you start losing out on the things that you're just normally supposed to be doing. But I do want you to know that you should just focus on your gameplay. And obviously, you have to win your lane. Like, if that's the one thing that you're not doing, just play harder. Seriously, try really, really hard to capitalize on every mistake. But it's sad because you can't just go even in your lane and hope that your team can carry. You've got to play really, really well, consistently. And it seems silly because, like, in your elo, you should be able to win, like, a decent amount of times just by playing an average level. But that's not how it works. And I've experienced it myself, dragging everybody down because I can't be getting those solo kills. Now, a part of that might be like Azir is just one of those champions where he doesn't do well in lane. But that's my fault. And so I've got to live up to that and do better. And so, like, even when I'm playing a champion like him, who, is weak in lane, I still have got to do my best to win lane, take towers, push for objectives and whatnot. Even if my champion isn't specifically good at those, I've got to play above my level to be able to climb. And I think that's fine, but it does suck that once you start doing that, you get put in, like, really high elo lobbies. Because, like, I don't know, in some of my other videos I talked about it, but sometimes the matchmaking ends up hurting more than it helps. Because, like, you do good, you do, like, really good. I don't know, maybe that's kind of the way the game is designed. It's a win more game. Like, it's like Dark Seal. The game is like Dark Seal. Not Dark Souls, Dark Steel. It's a win more item and it's a win more game. You start winning, you win more. You start losing, you lose more. And so you gotta do your best to win and win and win and win. Because this is the League of Legends, and you are the summoner in control of the legend, and you gotta do your best to live up to that legend, I guess. but sometimes it gets hard. So let me get back to what I was talking about. Because the things that you can bring into this world rely on you trying to live up to your true potential. And you have to believe the whole time. And if you don't, the chance might come and you could just let it pass by because you might not believe that you're ready. But if you don't believe that you're ready now, how will you believe in yourself when the time actually comes? And it's easy to make mistakes and just straight up quit. But all it takes for you is to remember that youthful thrill that gives birth to dreams, you know? Like when you were a kid, you would see something and be amazed by it. And I think it's okay to let yourself be bewildered by things, even if you feel like you understand it. And like, sure, maybe you'll grow out of this game and move on to the next, or pick up a sport, or shit, whatever it is actually. Because like in reality, it could be any hobby, as long as it's something you can immerse yourself in. Even if it's just that little bit, just something that you can start giving part of yourself to. I mean, it opens yourself up to, being vulnerable and whatnot. But that's what you gotta do. It's what it takes to climb, it's what it takes to be yourself. I mean, shoot, like, for some people it might even be just like a simple conversation with somebody you've just met, and you might never see them again unless you take the time to reach out and say hi. I think that's what it takes to be a friend. That's what it takes to climb. Speaking about friends, I was asked once by somebody I cared about, like, if we were friends, and the only thing that I could think about were my own anxieties. Like, I hadn't put in the effort to make them feel like they were close to me, because I had all these walls up and whatnot. And when I think about things like that, it motivates me to keep trying, because I hate messing things up. And I don't want anybody else feeling, like, brought down because of me. And maybe it's like the people-pleasing personality. But, like, when it comes down to it, I feel like it's more than that. Because if you start bringing up the energy and whatnot, other people feel that. Like, it's a joyful experience to be able to, experience something with somebody else. And, I don't maybe it's empathy. Maybe, like, you start, like, feeling good in a game, and the team can feel that. Like, sometimes you notice, like, your morale on a team is high. Like, one play works out, and the next one, even if it was a bad decision, like, macro-wise, like, you could look back on it and be like, why did we even do this? But sometimes it just works out anyways, because the people around you they just believe, If you don't believe, it's not going to work out. I mean, it might. If you believe, it works in one way or another. So, like, even when it's tough, even when people are AFK into your games, you gotta keep trying. It's kind of like that never surrender mentality. Like, obviously there are some games where it's like, oh, that's tough, we got AFKs or whatnot, so it'd just be a waste of time to keep on playing that match. But, like, sometimes, like, they might come back. Like, I've had people, like, lose power for a second, and then they come back, like, 10 minutes later and we win the game. And so sometimes, like, you surrender, sometimes you don't. Really, it's just up to the match. It's up to you to decide. The people in the game get to decide. But what sucks is when someone starts losing, somebody starts losing their mental, like, they mental boom, and next thing you know, they're just throwing the game, and other people follow suit. And so what you can do instead is just bring that up. And really, if you do that, you'll climb, even if sometimes it sucks. And, like, maybe you're new to the game. Maybe you haven't been playing for too long. I say I've been playing for 10 years, but I haven't been playing seriously for that long. Only the last couple of years I've been keeping just ranked constantly. Like, when I started, there was this thing called quick play, or whatever. Swift play? I don't know. There's one that still exists and one that used to exist. And it was like draft, but nobody had a specific role when they queued into it, and everyone would be like, people would just pick a champion that they wanted to play, and they'd go into a different and go into their lanes and whatnot. I mean, shoot, when I started playing, I didn't even know that there was a jungle role. I thought there was two people who played top lane. Now, I know that's a little bit off topic, but when I started playing, I didn't feel the pressure that I did today. I didn't feel that ranked pressure, that business mindset where I've got to optimize everything that I'm doing. And I was fine with losing a game because there was no LP attached to it. There was no cost for me to lose a game. The only thing it was the time that I put in. And so, as long as I was having fun, that's all that mattered. And, like, we're just playing video games here. All that matters is you're having a good time, win or lose. And so what matters is what you bring to the table. League of Legends is a specific game where it's like a very, very competitive experience. But seriously, if you bring your own beer, you're going to have a great ass time. And so I'm just trying to remind people that League of Legends is one of those games where, sure, It's tough, but you gotta keep on believing. But maybe it's not for you. It's not for everybody. Personally, I like it. It reminds me of Dark Souls, but in a multiplayer competitive aspect. I don't know. I kind of make these videos because it feels like I could use this advice myself. Because, like, sometimes it feels like everything is working against you. And it's like, I keep trying to inspire confidence in others because, like, if I can do that, then other people will feel better, and then I'll feel better, and it kind of, like, bounces off of each other, and you can do more. And I try to bring that energy to other people. Sometimes it's hard. Sometimes I need people to do it for me. Most of the time they can't. I gotta rely on myself a lot. And so do you. But at the same time, every once in a while, you'll get carried in your games. And that's when you gotta remind yourself that League of Legends isn't a single player game. And worse yet, sometimes you'll have people who are just downright, wrong. And you know what you gotta do? You gotta hold your tongue. Because it doesn't matter who's right or wrong. It's not what this is about. It's about maintaining who you are. The Rift will really test your character, and in so many ways. Sure, losing LP sucks, and you might lose a match, you might win a match, but like, if you start losing your own mental, then it's not worth even playing the game. So take a break and come back. Don't get so obsessed with it where you start digging yourself into a rut. And I need you to just remember that things are good as long as you make them good. But if you can make things happen even when people are trying to fail, which it seems silly because in League, there's a lot of people who are just like, they get in and they like feel like they're losing, and so they just try to lose harder. It's something. You experience a lot of different types of human nature, good and bad, in League of Legends. It's funny because the legends are true. The myths of old talk about very base human characteristics. I don't know. I just think that when you're playing League of Legends, you gotta remember to focus on yourself. It's the game where it makes you forget to value yourself. But hear me right now. Listen to me. Are you hearing me? Are you even paying attention? League of Legends is a silly little game. It's competitive, but at the same time, what matters is that you're having a good time. Do what you can. Doesn't always work out. Sometimes it's like, oh, what can you do? And you move on. But that's the thing. You can't have a perfect win rate. No one can have a perfect win rate. Sure, you can have a decent win rate. Some games you just lose them, for one reason or another. And you can learn from that. And if you can't, then take a break from League of Legends. Go play the other game modes, because I know all about it. Sometimes I lose a game, and all I want to do is get back into it so I can make up my lost LP. But at the same time, it's nice to go into a normal game where I'm not afraid to lose or make mistakes, and just have a good time and remember why I'm playing the game in the first place. And then after all of that, I can go back into ranked when I'm ready, whatever it takes for you. I guess the last thing I want to remind you about is, at the end of the day, you don't have to be at a high elo to enjoy League of Legends. It doesn't matter whether you're bronze or platinum or diamond. I mean, I guess there's a different story if you're trying to go pro, but to each their own. And just, on a general basis, just enjoy yourself, man. With whatever you're doing, just enjoy yourself.